The galaxy has witnessed supernovas, cosmic wars, and at least 3 separate alien species arguing about who invented soup first. But no one, absolutely no one, expected Earth to show up at the Grand Galactic Tech Auction, the most prestigious, rule-obsessed, laser-polished marketplace in the known universe. As the interstellar megamarket materializes above the blue planet like a shimmering cosmic shopping mall, every alien trader stares downward, confused. Because the last time they checked Earth's technological status, humans were still arguing over whether a toaster should have Bluetooth. But today, something feels different. A mysterious human craft is approaching the auction gates, smoke trailing behind it, duct tape visible from orbit. Aliens whisper, panicked. Why are the humans here? What have they brought? Is that safe? A truth is hiding inside that shaky craft. One that will unravel ancient auction rules, ignite bureaucratic panic, and reveal a terrifyingly powerful secret about human creativity. And when the reveal comes, the galaxy will not be ready. The first sign that something was wrong with the universe was not the glowing rift in the sky. It was the group chat. Every human on Earth simultaneously received a notification. Breaking news. Giant intergalactic shopping center appears above Pacific Ocean. No, this is not a meme. Above the blue planet, space rippled like a badly compressed video. A colossal construct unfolded from nothing. Rings, towers, floating plazas, and entire districts stitched together into a single impossible megastructure. Imagine a shopping mall had eaten a Dyson sphere and then hired a drama consultant. That was the auction nebula megamarket. It shimmered in orbit, broadcasting elegant, ancient frequencies. To the rest of the galaxy, they said, "Welcome, distinguished civilizations, to the Grand Galactic Tech Auction, pinnacle of innovation and order." To Earth, thanks to a translation bug, it read, "Big fancy space bazaar. No refunds." Across the planet, people stared up, recorded shaky videos, mispronounced intergalactic, and immediately began arguing on the internet about whether the whole thing was CGI. Governments scrambled jets. Scientists scrambled explanations. One small team of overworked, underpaid space agency nerds sat in a windowless control room, caffeinated to oblivion. Watching readings climb into the universe should not do that levels. In the quiet, the lead physicist muttered, that architecture is using 12-dimensional load-bearing. The stress shouldn't hold. Nothing we know should allow that to exist. A junior engineer, slurping instant noodles, replied, "Maybe they use better duct tape." Meanwhile, far above them, inside the megamarket's central concourse, alien dignitaries glided along gravitic walkways. Species from 1,000 star systems drifted, floated, marched, or oozed toward their booths, each carrying the pinnacle of their technological achievement. Quantum lattice reactors, temporal stabilizers, psychometric navigators, reality-threading engines. It was history's most exclusive marketplace for technology so advanced that even thinking about it wrong could void your warranty. There was officially a rule. Only properly advanced civilizations may participate. Earth was not on that list. Earth was on a different, smaller list labeled civilizations under observation, chaos risk high. Keep at distance. Do not let near important buttons. And yet, as the opening ceremony began, alarms flickered in the admission control system. The AI attendant, a dignified cube of soft white light, paused mid-greeting. Something small, metallic, and extremely unsanctioned was approaching the main docking ring. Its hull was asymmetrical. Its thrusters were not standard. Parts of it were visibly welded, patched, or bolted on, sometimes all three. One panel appeared to be an old shipping container door. Another had a faded logo reading, "Taco Eclipse, we fold space and tortillas." The dignified cube froze. This was a mistake. On every alien channel, the announcement echoed, "Unregistered craft approaching. Energy readings, erratic. Structural integrity, concerning. Probability it belongs to the humans, 99.98%. The entire megamarket collectively turned its gaze toward the tiny, rattling ship heading straight for the main entrance. Humans, of course, as the craft wobbled into docking alignment, leaving a trail of harmless but very worrying smoke. One thought spread through the auction nebula like a rumor with warp engines. What exactly have they brought? No one knew yet. But by the time this was over, the answer would require rewriting the rules of the auction, the classification of Earth, and possibly the part of the cosmic handbook labeled Basic Physics. Inside the Hall of Eligibility, where rules were carved into hard light and enforced by AIs with tenure, the atmosphere was solemn. Giant holographic tablets floated in the air, each etched in 1,000 languages. They all said some version of the same thing. Only certified advanced civilizations may participate in the Grand Galactic Tech Auction. Below that, a secondary inscription. Participants must demonstrate stable FTL travel, quantum infrastructure, and a sustained inability to burn their own atmosphere on purpose. The last line had been added after a regrettable incident with a civilization that treated supernovas as party favors. Today, the tablets added another real-time notice, glowing in warning red. Unauthorized civilization approaching. SOL3/Earth/humans. The assembled adjudicators shifted nervously. They were a dignified bunch, crystalline entities, robed energy forms, floating bureaucratic polyhedra whose first language was paperwork. They existed to ensure that chaos stayed outside the megamarket, where it belonged. The lead adjudicator, an ancient being made of layered stone discs that rotated slowly when it was annoyed, rotated very slowly. Explain, it demanded. The AI attendant manifested as a smaller cube of light, flickering with embarrassment. Unknown error in access filters. A craft originating from Sol 3 has locked onto our dock coordinates. Current classification of humans, pre-eligibility, high chaos, medium competence, snack obsessed. Snack obsessed? Another adjudicator repeated. The AI pulled up a dossier. Their recorded behavior patterns suggest strong correlations between decision-making and caloric intake. Also coffee. A third adjudicator, a tangled knot of luminous threads, pulsed in alarm. They were not invited. Have we not learned from the Committee on Unsupervised Primate Civilizations? In one corner, a minor functionary quietly deleted a file named, "We definitely learned from that," just in case anyone asked to see it. But they have arrived, the AI said. Docking clamps are engaged. Their craft is technically holding together. Barely. The stone disk being sighed, its layers grinding like tectonic plates of disapproval. Very well. Enact Protocol 47B, containment of improvised species. They may enter, but their access is restricted. No proximity to high-risk devices, no access to forbidden tech, and absolutely. The AI winced. They've requested a seller's booth. Silence dropped like a neutron star. Sellers, the stone being repeated slowly, must be certified. This is the sacred rule. Our auction exists to maintain standards, to preserve dignity, to prevent improvisation. The AI displayed a small live image of the human craft interior. A handful of humans in mismatched jumpsuits were checking a crate filled with stuff. Wires, coils, metal plates, objects of ambiguous purpose with labels like maybe teleporter and do not lick. One human, sipping coffee, laughed at something on a tablet. Another napped in the corner. They did not look like dignified participants in the universe's most elite technological showcase. They looked like a garage sale had accidentally gained access to orbit. Deny them, the stone adjudicator decreed. They are not ready. The AI hesitated. The system attempted to deny them. Repeatedly. Each time, it returned an error. What error? The cube dimmed. Request overridden by manual input. By whom? A pause. The humans. They found the settings. Every adjudicator in the hall experienced, in their own alien way, the same emotion. Dread. An update rippled across the sacred tablets. Under the strict, ornate inscription, a new line flickered into existence. Unapproved, unsanctioned, and infuriating. Exception pending. Species humans. Review required. Far above, the doors to the megamarket hissed open. And for the first time in galactic history, a group of humans walked confidently into the most forbidden mall in existence, carrying a crate of tech held together by hope, scrap, and stubbornness. The sacred rule was about to have a very bad day. The registration concourse of the auction nebula was designed to impress. Vaulted ceilings of starlight. Floating kiosks. Holographic banners gently reminding visitors. All transactions are final. All reality alterations non-refundable. Long, polished counters staffed by professional administrators from a species whose entire evolutionary path had been shaped by paperwork. Behind one such counter sat Grill, the 77, a seven-limbed civil servant with translucent skin, a magnificent tie, and the approximate emotional range of a damp spreadsheet. In front of them, neatly stacked, were forms authorizing trade, observation, return, and existential disclaimers. Grill, the 77 had processed thousands of dignitaries. They were not ready for humans. The human delegation marched up like they were checking in to a low-budget hotel. There were 5 of them, a captain wearing a jacket with too many pockets, a mechanic with a burn mark on one sleeve, a physicist with tired eyes and a coffee thermos, a logistics officer with 3 clipboards, and a young intern who looked like they'd joined for the snacks. "Hi," the captain beamed. "We'd like a seller's booth, please." Grill, the 77 blinked, all 7 eyes in perfect synchronization. "Species?" they asked, in the weary tone of someone who already knew but was hoping to be wrong. "Humans," the captain said proudly. "From Earth. Sol 3. You might have us under Death World with streaming services." Grill, the 77 pulled up their profile. The dossier appeared in the air. Humans. Classification, pre-eligible. Traits, creative, emotionally volatile, caffeine-dependent. Notes, do not give them access to experimental space-time interfaces. They will press things. "I regret to inform you," Grill, the 77 began, "that your civilization is not currently." The mechanic thumped the crate onto the counter. Metal rattled. Several nearby beings flinched. Inside, Grill, this 77 saw coils, circuits, slabs of unfamiliar alloys, and something that looked suspiciously like a heavily modified microwave with extra ports and a handwritten label. Portable Anomaly Generator. V3, and no chickens this time. The physicist slid a data slate forward. "These are our tech specs. Minimal quantum leakage, mostly safe, field-tested. We've achieved FTL-adjacent travel, controlled micro-wormholes, and at least one unintended temporary duplication of a lab intern. He's fine now. Mostly." Grill, the 77 scanned the slate. The AI translation overlay desperately tried to map human engineering notes into neat categories. It failed. Several annotations were simply, "We're not sure why this works, but it does," followed by emojis. "This is not." Grill, the 77 struggled for the right phrase. "Standard." "Yeah," the captain grinned. "That's the point. So about that booth." The registration system chimed. A red warning flashed. "Civilization not eligible." Then, beneath it, a second message appeared. "Manual override requested." Grill, the 77 frowned. "Who requested override?" The physicist sheepishly raised a hand. I might have connected to your Wi-Fi." "You what?" "Well, your security was good," the physicist said quickly. "But your password hint was admin 123, but fancy." It was not that fancy. The AI attendant manifested next to them, looking personally offended. "You have violated multiple access layers." The mechanic shrugged. "We just needed the seller application form. Your UI is not user-friendly." Grill, the 77's eyes narrowed. Their sense of order was crumbling. Their forms, their beautiful forms, were being bypassed by primates with coffee. Around them, other alien traders slowed to watch. "Listen," the captain said, lowering their voice. "We know we're not on the list. But you opened your megamarket in our sky. You broadcast your auction. You didn't cloak. That's basically an invitation where we're from. That is not how intergalactic law works." Grill, the 77 protested. "That is exactly how human curiosity works." Silence. The crate hummed faintly. At last, Grill, the 77's shoulders slumped. Protocol flared in their mind. Dozens of subclauses, exceptions, contingencies. One obscure line in an old amendment glowed. "In case of unpreventable presence of pre-eligible civilization, limited trial access may be granted under close supervision." They hated that line. "Fine." Grill, the 77 muttered. "You may have a booth. Small. Periphery. Under observation. You may not destabilize local physics, intimidate customers, or cause an incident." The humans exchanged looks. "Define incident," the intern asked. Grill, the 77 stared at them. "This," they said flatly, "is a terrible idea." The humans grinned. They were in. The main auction floor of the megamarket was a cathedral to smugness. Booths floated in concentric rings, each on its own hovering platform. Elegant bridges connected them, while gravity politely behaved itself out of sheer intimidation. Above, an artificial aurora cycled through colors that didn't technically exist. Every species strutted, or equivalent, weapons-grade confidence on display. At Booth 7A, the Chrysal Dominion, beings of living crystal, showcased a device the size of a fist that quietly bent probability. A Chrysal representative explained to a crowd, "It subtly shifts outcomes in your favor. Nothing dramatic. Just enough that your enemies experience a lifetime of minor but infuriating inconveniences." They demonstrated. Somewhere, an enemy empire's supreme admiral spilled hot beverage on themselves for no reason. At Booth 12C, the Fluxiform Concordat, luminous plasma beings, presented a portable sun-core reactor containing the power of a star in a neat compact casing. At Booth 19F, the bureaucrat species collective had arranged, with pride, a stack of forms. Our latest product, their representative buzzed, a fully automated recursive compliance system. It files regulations about regulations before the regulations exist. A nearby customer shuddered. Monsters, they whispered, with admiration. Each booth was a love letter to precision, beauty, and terrifyingly efficient design. And then, tucked way off on an outer ring, someone had clearly misplaced a garage. That was the human booth. From afar, it already looked suspicious. Uneven angles, cables exposed, bits of metal stacked in anxious little piles. As the humans assembled their layout, passing aliens slowed like bystanders passing a very minor, very illegal construction site. The mechanic knelt beside a device and smacked it with a wrench. It hummed obediently. "See," they said. "Perfect." The nearby Chrysal representative flinched. "You hit your technology. Only when it misbehaves," the mechanic replied cheerfully. The captain laid out a hand-painted sign. "Earth Tech. Prototypes. Ask about the warranty." "No, seriously, ask." "Shouldn't the sign be a hologram?" the intern whispered. "This is more authentic," the captain said. "Trust me, people love authenticity." "Do they love exposed wiring?" "Even more." The physicist arranged a set of labeled gadgets on the counter. Gravity pocket projector, V2. Local gravitational distortion. Please don't stand too close. We're still mapping the side effects. Micro wormhole courier box. Instant delivery, as long as the destination is not on fire. Temporal lag bracelet. Feels like you have 5 extra minutes in the morning. Warning. Cause and effect may file a complaint. Each item had notes, sketches, and little disclaimers. Aliens wandered closer, drawn by the smell of danger and bad choices. At a neighboring booth, the bureaucrat representative watched with horror. They haven't filed their risk disclosures. They're not even using standard hazard icons. They used emojis, their assistant whispered, horrified. The captain leaned on the counter, surveying the sea of polished tech around them. "Look at that," they murmured. "Centuries of refinement, order, predictability. We're not like that," the physicist admitted. "That's why we're interesting," the captain grinned. They looked down at one particular device sitting on a reinforced pad covered by a simple cloth. Its outline was oddly organic, like a sphere that had argued with itself and lost. Wires disappeared into a sealed compartment. Small lights pulsed beneath the cover. The captain's expression turned serious. "And that's why this," they said quietly, "might actually work." The mechanic frowned. "You're sure it's ready?" "No," the captain said frankly. "But we're here." They opened the sky. "We're not leaving our best shot in the lab." The intern stared at the covered device, shivering slightly. "What exactly does it do again?" The physicist hesitated. "In theory, it ties into local space-time curvature and negotiates. Temporarily." The intern blinked. "We built a physics negotiator?" The captain smirked. "Welcome to Earth engineering." Around them, dignified species showed off beautiful, flawless technology. And on one small, cluttered platform at the edge of the ring, humanity quietly set up something that didn't quite match any existing category. Yet, the first customer was not technically a customer. It was a safety inspector. They arrived in a sleek, sphere-shaped body, emitting a faint administrative hum. A holographic badge hovered in front of them. Auction Safety Division. Please don't make me do extra work. They approached the human booth as one might approach an unlabeled container that rattles. I am here, the inspector droned, for preliminary hazard assessment. Great, the captain said. We specialize in hazards. The inspector's outer shell brightened in distress. The physicist slid forward, tablet in hand. We've documented all major side effects. Minor ones are still being cataloged, but statistically, most people end up fine. The inspector generated a checklist in the air. Item 1, Gravity Pocket Projector. Explain function. Creates a localized gravity well, the physicist replied. Useful for heavy lifting, orbital corrections, and making sure people don't leave their coffee mugs in precarious positions. The inspector scanned it. Origin. Originally designed to stop snacks from floating away during zero-G movie nights. A beat. The inspector filed that under Do Not Ask Follow-Up Questions. Side effects, they asked instead. The physicist shrugged. Sometimes it inverts the direction of up. Only for a second. Mostly. The inspector highlighted mostly and sighed. Item 2, Micro Wormhole Courier Box. The mechanic proudly opened a compact crate. You put an item in here, define destination coordinates, and it opens a small wormhole. Item goes through. Delivery. Great for logistics. Or surprise gifts. The inspector peered into the box, which seemed larger inside than out. Have there been incidents? They asked carefully. Just the once, the mechanic said. We accidentally routed a pizza into a black hole. The black hole got bigger, but also happier. No lasting damage. The inspector decided they did not want to know how they'd measured black hole happiness. They moved down the table. Temporal lag bracelet, they read. Explain. Subjective time dilation, the physicist said. Makes it feel like you get a few extra minutes in the morning. We accidentally discovered it while trying to create a procrastination cure. And the downsides? Lateness becomes more creative, the physicist offered. Also, clocks get offended. The inspector pinched the bridge of their photoreceptors. Finally, their gaze fell on the one item still covered. What? They asked slowly. Is under the cloth. The humans exchanged looks. That, the captain said calmly, is our flagship prototype. The inspector waited. It's not ready for casual browsing, the physicist added. We'll only demonstrate it under supervised conditions. With full consent. And maybe an evacuation route. The inspector's shell dimmed. Have you named it? The mechanic and physicist spoke at the same time. Reality negotiation engine, said the physicist. The shiny orb that makes things weird, said the mechanic. They glared at each other. The captain coughed. Working title, the Ansible Core. It persuades space-time to briefly cooperate with us on a non-standard basis. Persuades, the inspector repeated. Respectful conversation, the physicist insisted. Except with physics. The inspector checked their risk scale. It bottomed out, so it created a new category, human. You will not activate this without clearance, the inspector said. Of course not, the captain assured them. The inspector flagged the booth with 3 hazard markers for disclaimers and a polite note requesting no explosions before lunch. As they left, a small crowd of curious aliens drifted closer. What is this place? One asked. The intern grinned. Welcome to Earth Tech. Everything works. We just don't always know why. The aliens glanced at the haphazard gadgets, the hand-labeled switches, the unmistakable aura of experimental chaos. One of them whispered, "This seems unwise." But none of them walked away. Because unwise was interesting. And interesting sold. By mid-cycle, the human booth had done the impossible. It had become entertainment. Word spread quickly through the megamarket. Whispers carried by gossip, curiosity, and one overly talkative telepath who lived for drama. Have you seen the primitive tech booth? They're using analog signage. They hit one of their devices with a tool, and it obeyed. I heard their gravity projector was invented to keep snacks from floating away. Soon, a cluster of onlookers formed. At the front was a trio of Chrysal engineers, crystalline facets gleaming. To them, engineering was sacred geometry, elegant equations shaping matter into near perfection. To their horror and fascination, the human mechanic was currently fastening a loose panel with what was undeniably a zip tie. You cannot, one Chrysal sputtered, seriously be using polymer restraints as a structural support. The mechanic tested the zip tie. Can't argue with results. That is not engineering, another Chrysal hissed. That is improvisation. Yeah, the mechanic said. We're really good at that. Behind them, a swirling gas being from the fluxiform Concordat watched the micro-wormhole courier box demonstration. So you achieved non-local transport, they said calmly, by destabilizing fabric reality and stitching it back together with whatever this is? The physicist followed their gesture. Cable ties and epoxy. The fluxiform produced a sound that translated loosely as, "We studied for 4 centuries for this, and you used glue?" At the edge of the crowd, a bureaucrat official took furious notes. Non-compliant fasteners, unregulated adhesives, unauthorized ergonomic design. This is anarchy. The captain smiled through it all. Every insult was a hook. Every doubt was an invitation. Look, they told the crowd. We know our stuff looks rough. You've had millennia to refine your tech. We've had somewhat less. But our tools don't have to look pretty. They just have to do the job. One Chrysler engineer snorted. Do they? Your temporal bracelet induced asynchronous nap cycles in your test subject. The intern, wearing said bracelet loosely, yawned. Best naps of my life, though. A ripple of laughter ran through the crowd. Be honest, a tentacled trader said. You're not here to compete, are you? You're here to what is your phrase? Give it a shot? The captain held their gaze. We're here because you came to our sky. You set the stage. You brought the galaxy to our doorstep. And you said, only advanced civilizations allowed. And you are not, the trader said bluntly. Maybe not by your standards, the captain replied. But where we come from, advanced doesn't mean polished. It means relentless. It means willing to try something that might fail spectacularly and still show up again tomorrow. One Chrysler folded their arms. Do you truly believe your scrap-built anomalies can stand against our precision? The captain looked at the covered Ansible Core, its faint inner glow pulsing through the cloth. Yes, they said simply. Laughter erupted. Someone muttered, oh, this will be good. Then prove it, the Chrysler said. Demonstrate something we have not seen before. Show us your vaunted human innovation. The safety inspector, passing by with a stack of digital incident reports, whirled. They will do no such thing without authorization. But the crowd was already chanting, in a wildly mismatched mix of languages. Demonstrate. Demonstrate. The physicist hesitated. The mechanic grinned. The intern looked mildly ill. The captain tapped the covered device. We weren't supposed to show this yet, they said. We weren't sure the galaxy was ready. We're ready, someone called. No. The safety inspector groaned. You are not. The captain met the physicist's eyes. No words. Just that look. We came here for this. Fine, the physicist said quietly. We do it. Controlled demonstration. Low power. Minimal space-time trauma. The safety inspector sent an emergency alert to the adjudicators. The crowd leaned in as the captain slowly, dramatically, lifted the cloth. The first glimpse of the Ansible Core sent a ripple through the gathered aliens. It was not beautiful in the way their devices were. It was beautiful in the way a storm was, complex, layered, slightly unhinged. Spherical, but not entirely, smooth, but with subtle patterns carved into its surface like equations written by a dream. Blue-white lights flowed under its skin in spiraling paths, like thoughts being formed too quickly to track. What does it do? Someone whispered. The captain smiled. Watch, they said, and they placed their hand on the core. The Ansible Core hummed, softly at first. It wasn't the sound that silenced the crowd. It was the feeling. A strange, almost imperceptible shiver ran through reality. Like the universe had just noticed someone clearing their throat. Lights around the booth dimmed. Not by power fluctuation. They dimmed as if their brightness had been politely asked to step aside and think about their life choices. The safety inspector frantically broadcasted warnings. Unauthorized activation. Cease. Cease immediately or this booth will be closed, its operators fined, and all snacks confiscated. The humans ignored them. The physicist's fingers danced over a control slate patched into the core. Streams of incomprehensible variables flowed past. Curvature tensors, localized energy densities, and, in the margins, notes like, do not let this value hit 7, underlined 3 times. Stabilization field nominal, they muttered. Negotiation channels open. Who? A Chrysler engineer demanded. Are you negotiating with? The core pulsed. For lack of a better term, the physicist said, spacetime. The crowd collectively took several cautious steps back. The captain's hand remained on the core, eyes half closed. They spoke softly, not in words, but in intent, pushing human willpower through the machine. Bend, briefly, without breaking. Help us cheat. Just a little. We know you hate it. Work with us anyway. Field forming, the physicist announced. Around the booth, space itself seemed to thicken. Distances got slippery. A step forward felt shorter than it should be. Voices warped slightly, echoing with a delay that had no right to exist. Behold, a fluxioform murmured. Localized geometry alteration without brute force energy expenditure. That's impossible, a bureaucrat official said. So were we, the captain replied. The core glowed brighter, threads of light extending outward like delicate roots, imperceptibly latching onto the surrounding structure of the megamarket. Okay, the physicist said. Demonstration time. Intern, you still have that coin. The intern, hands shaking, produced a simple metal coin from Earth. Obsolete currency. Pocket relic. Thank you, the physicist said gently. Now stand there. They indicated a spot a few meters from the booth. The intern obeyed, coin in hand, looking like they were rethinking all their life choices. On my mark, the physicist said, toss the coin toward me. Will it explode? The intern asked. Probably not. Probably. 3, the physicist counted. 2, 1 now. The intern threw. The coin left their hand, rotated in the air, and did not travel through space in any normal sense. Instead, it vanished, reappeared halfway, vanished again, reappeared inches from the physicist's palm, and then glided the last bit at a leisurely pace, as if reality had decided to hand-deliver it. Gasps followed. Even confined to that tiny area, the effect was unmistakable. You bent the local metric, a Chrysal whispered. You persuaded distance to cooperate? We asked nicely, the captain said. That is not how physics works. The fluxioform hissed. The core, as if offended, pulsed harder. The localized field expanded. Suddenly, the entire ring walkway warped. One alien took a step and ended up behind themselves. Another tried to leave and arrived at the snack stand 3 times in a row despite choosing different directions. A bureaucrat official found their forms filing them. Shut it down, the safety inspector screamed. You're destabilizing the mall. I'm trying, the physicist yelled back. Their fingers flew across the control slate. It's very enthusiastic. What do you mean, enthusiastic? The captain snapped. It likes us, the physicist said. Or it likes what we're doing to it. Hard to tell with topology. The core's tendrils of light stretched farther, now touching a few neighboring booths. Their tech flickered, glitched, then recalibrated as if suddenly aware of new possibilities. The fluxioform reactor unit briefly turned inside out, realized it was being watched, and snapped back. This is intolerable, a dignitary shouted. This is incredible, another whispered. The safety inspector surged forward, raising a lockdown field. Their field tried to encompass the core, and then took a detour. It wrapped around nothing, then around itself. The inspector ended up contained in their own safety bubble. Help, they said flatly. On it, the mechanic replied, grabbing a tool. Please don't hit the space-time core with a wrench, the physicist cried. I wasn't going to hit the core, the mechanic said. I was going to hit the console. They did. The console emitted a hurt beep. The core shuddered. Its glow flickered. For a heartbeat, everyone felt the universe inhale. Then, with a low, sulky pulse, the Ansible Core retracted its light roots, releasing its grip on the local geometry. Distances snapped back. Echoes realigned. The inspector's bubble popped. The crowd stood stunned. A single Chrysal engineer spoke, voice shaking. You coerced the fundamental structure of reality, using a colloquial negotiation protocol and physical impact to the control interface. The captain exhaled shakily. We asked nicely and smacked the dashboard, yes. Primitive, the engineer whispered. Crude. Offensive. They stared at the core. I have never been more jealous in my life. The panic did not stay localized for long. Within minutes, half the megamarket had footage of the Ansible Core incident. Every angle, every warped step, every glitching device. Alien social feeds exploded. Humans break physics at Fancy Mall, details at Cycle 7. Is your local space-time safe from reckless ape species? Take this quiz. My reactor turned itself inside out, and I kind of liked it. #ThanksHumans. In the central governance spire, the adjudicators convened an emergency session. "This is unacceptable," thundered the stone disk being. "Their layers rotated erratically. They have destabilized a commerce environment." Twice. It was technically once, the AI attendant corrected. The second instance was more of an aftershock. Unhelpful, a luminous thread being snapped. "Our mandate is clear. We maintain order. We prevent dangerous tech from falling into irresponsible manipulators' hands." There was a pause. "Like humans," someone added. "Especially humans," another agreed. Projected above the council, a replay of the core demonstration looped, annotated by horrified physicists who kept using phrases like "no known framework" and "please stop." The bureaucrat representative appeared as well, transmitting from just outside the human booth. "Council," they said gravely, "I have filed 12 emergency forms, 7 complaints, and 1 personal resignation draft. Their presence violates 16 subsections of the sacred rule." "Could the situation be contained?" the AI asked. "We attempted to sanction them," the bureaucrat replied. "They asked for the sanction forms, filled them out faster than we could process, and suggested improvements to our workflow." The council audibly gasped. "Improved your workflow?" The stone disk being repeated, appalled. "They color-coded the subclauses and added snack breaks," the bureaucrat said, voice trembling. "It was deficient and pleasant. I do not know who I am anymore." The AI hesitated. Perhaps outright expulsion is premature. Their device demonstrated capabilities none of our current participants possess, and with significantly lower energy expenditure. The market exists to seek innovation. Are we willing to ignore such a leap because its origin is messy? "Messy," a thread being shrieked. "They bribed geometry with enthusiasm. That is beyond messy." And yet, the AI said softly, it worked. In another feed, the human booth was still open, now surrounded by a rope barrier and several extremely official warning signs. Humans stood behind their table, looking a little shaken but unbowed. The core sat idle, lights dimmer but not gone, like a cat pretending to sleep but ready to pounce. Aliens continued to approach them despite, or because of, the chaos. "This is our problem," the stone disk being growled. "Chaos is contagious. We contain dangerous tech to avoid incidents. Now we have a species that sees dangerous as Tuesday." The AI brought up another file. Earth's recent history. Rapid advances, self-inflicted crises, astounding recoveries. Wars, art, disasters, breakthroughs. A dizzying oscillation between catastrophe and brilliance. "Maybe," the AI said carefully. "The question is not whether we can stop them." "Of course we can," a thread being scoffed. The AI increased the playback speed. Human progress turned into a blur. Spaceflight, global communication, burning things, building things, breaking and fixing and breaking again. "Can we?" the AI asked. Silence again. Outside, in the real megamarket, the safety inspector approached the human booth once more, arms full of revised regulations. "This is unprecedented," they said wearily. "We have forms for hazardous devices. We do not have forms for whatever you are." "Pioneers," the captain offered. "Menace," the inspector countered. "Both," the physicist said. The inspector rubbed their frontal sensory node. "The council is debating whether to expel you." "And?" the captain asked. "And some of them want to buy your device." The intern blinked. "They what?" "Half the physics committees in this quadrant saw what you did," the inspector said. "They're horrified. They're also scientists. They want to understand it, replicate it, monetize it." The captain leaned on the table. "We're open to collaboration. Within reason. No military exclusives, no doing terrible things to people's planets. We're reckless, not evil." "That is not as reassuring as you think it is," the inspector muttered. Back in the council chamber, the AI made one last point. "The sacred rule was written millennia ago. Our criteria for advanced centered on stability, refinement, predictability. But the universe does not only reward stability. It also rewards adaptability, improvisation, the ability to create something from nothing and tape. That is not in the rule," the stone disk being snapped. "Perhaps," the AI said, "the rule is incomplete, unthinkable, heresy, also compelling." A vote was called. Outside, at a little booth of scrap and miracles, humans waited for judgment, sipping coffee, nibbling emergency snacks, pretending they weren't nervous. The Ansible Core sat in silence. But deep inside, in currents no one could quite see, space-time itself seemed to hum in anticipation. When the council summoned the humans, it was not to a courtroom. It was to a lab. The central experimental chamber of the megamarket was normally used to test devices too powerful to be left unattended. Today, it hosted one sphere of human strangeness and a semicircle of alien scientists trying not to look too excited. The humans stood next to the Ansible Core, which now rested on a reinforced pedestal covered in more caution signs than strictly necessary. I must say this again, the stone disc adjudicator intoned from a balcony above. You are not, by any existing metric, qualified to field a device of this magnitude. Noted, the captain said. And yet, a Chrysal physicist interrupted, you did. And you did so with an energy budget far below anything we thought possible. This is either a violation of conservation principles or a sign we've been doing things inefficiently for a very long time. We're voting for inefficiently, the mechanic said. The Chrysal ignored that. We demand, the bureaucrat official said, full disclosure of your power source. There must be some exotic fuel. Dark energy tap? Singularities? Entangled vacuum flux. The humans exchanged a look. About that, the physicist said. You're not going to like the answer. The stone disc being leaned forward. You will reveal your fuel, or we will classify your entire civilization as a class red hazard and quarantine your system. The captain sighed. Look, we're happy to be transparent. But you need to understand, our tech isn't elegant. It's layered. We use what we have until it screams, and then we staple on more. That is not how one treats reality. A thread being muttered. That is absolutely how you treat reality when you don't have options, the captain said. The physicist walked over to the core. There, on its base, was a small, innocuous panel. It was not sleek. It was not glowing. It had a sticker that said, handle with care, or don't. I'm not your MOM, in 3 languages. The physicist opened it. Inside was a cluster of cables leading into what, to everyone's horror, looked like a heavily modified Earth car battery. Next to it, strapped in with a bungee cord, sat a half-empty bottle of neon blue energy drink and a compact thermal unit emitting faint crumbs. What, the stone disc being whispered, is that? The physicist pointed. Chemical energy storage module, they said. Very old tech by your standards. We call it a battery. And that glowing toxic fluid? A scientist asked, repulsed. Caffeine and sugar suspension. For emergencies. Sometimes for the machine, sometimes for us. Depends on the day. And that particulate heater? Another asked. The mechanic looked mildly embarrassed. That's a snack warmer. A snack warmer. The bureaucrat repeated hollowly. We had a long test cycle, the mechanic said defensively. We got hungry. The silence that followed was not just disbelief. It was insulted disbelief. You are telling us, the Chrysal physicist said slowly, that your device, capable of negotiating with space-time, is powered by primitive chemical cells, stimulant beverages, and lunch. The core mechanisms are in the algorithms and structure, the physicist said. The energy input is just the offer. The bribe, if you will. Turns out space-time is surprisingly flexible if you get the conversation right. And you fueled this conversation, the stone disc being said, voice faint, with leftovers. Efficient, right? The captain replied. An alien scientist buried their face in their appendages. We built star-core reactors. We mastered stable fusion. We spent tens of millennia optimizing energy extraction. And we built our first prototypes in a garage, the mechanic said. It exploded. Twice. Then it worked. You didn't even use antimatter, someone whimpered. We can't afford antimatter, the intern said. You think our budgets are sane? The room rippled with outrage, awe, and a little existential crisis. So this, the AI summarized, is the human advantage. Not just creativity, not just recklessness. Frugality. You wage war on impossibility with duct tape and snacks. Don't forget coffee, the physicist said. The AI nodded. And coffee. The stone disc being closed their eyes. Why? They asked the universe. Would you do this to us? No answer came. But the evidence was in front of them. Humans had achieved what their most advanced civilizations had not. Not by overwhelming force, but by sheer audacity and an utter refusal to wait until everything was perfect. Against their instincts, the adjudicators recognized something. The sacred rule had not been broken. It had been outgrown. The announcement was made not in the quiet of a council chamber, but in the full, chaotic heart of the megamarket. Every booth paused operations as the central holo displays flickered. The auroras above shifted to a dignified shade of official announcement blue. A hush fell, not absolute silence, but the buzzing, multitonal hush of thousands of species turning their attention the same way. In the center plaza, a platform rose. Upon it, the stone disc adjudicator appeared, flanked by the AI attendant and, most scandalous of all, the human captain. This session of the Grand Galactic Tech Auction is now an amendment, the AI declared. Holographic copies of the sacred tablet appeared above every aisle and walkway. The familiar lines glowed. Only certified advanced civilizations may participate. Below that, in fresh light, new text began to etch itself into being. The Council recognizes, the stone disk being intoned, that our definition of advanced has been incomplete. Aliens murmured, scandalized. We have long valued stability, refinement, predictability, the AI continued. But in an expanding universe, resilience, creativity, and improvisation are equally vital. Innovation does not always emerge from perfect labs. It can emerge from chaos, from desperation, from species who build miracles in garages. A small cheer rose from the human delegation. Therefore, the stone disk being said, clearly struggling with the words, the sacred rule is amended as follows. Advanced shall also include civilizations that demonstrate unprecedented capabilities via unconventional means, provided they exhibit intent not to annihilate the nearest mall. Text updated. Civilization, SOL3/Earth/humans. Conditional certified participant. The crowd erupted. Some cheered. Some protested. Some began calculating new trade opportunities. Others simply updated their social feeds. At their booth, the mechanic fist-bumped the physicist. The intern cried a little. The safety inspector sat down on a crate and stared into the middle distance, wondering where their life had gone so wrong. The bureaucrat official approached the humans cautiously. We have drafted new forms, they said stiffly, for technology derived from improvisational civilizations. We require your feedback. The captain skimmed the forms, added 3 snack breaks, and simplified Section 9. The bureaucrat's eyes glistened. It is beautiful. Nearby, a crystal scientist approached the Ansible Core. We would like to collaborate, they said. We can provide stability, materials, refinement. We can provide having no idea when to stop, the mechanic replied. An ideal partnership, the crystal said. The fluxiform representative floated closer. We mocked your methods, they admitted. We were wrong. Your success suggests we have been wasteful. Hey, the physicist said. You do you. Our way isn't sustainable long-term either. Maybe between your polish and our chaos, we'll find something better. Above them, the megamarket's main display cycled through the day's highlights. Among the sleek devices and polished tech demos, a clip played of a simple coin taking an impossible path through warped space. A small metal object carried not by brute force reactors, but by stubborn will and bargain bin energy. Humans, the narrator AI commented, have demonstrated a unique trait, the ability to make the universe sigh, give up, and do what they want for a moment just to see what happens. Earth's representatives began packing up for the cycle, gently powering down the core. It pulsed once more, like a heartbeat, then dimmed. So, the intern said, munching a snack from the heater, we're part of the Galactic Tech Club now? On probation, the captain said, with a please don't break everything note. We won't break everything, the mechanic said. We'll just rearrange some of it, the physicist added. The captain looked up at the megamarket's vast, impossible architecture, now slightly more possible knowing what they knew. We came here to sell a few prototypes and probably get kicked out, they said. Instead, we changed the rules. By accident, the intern pointed out. By being ourselves, the captain corrected. As the megamarket slowly dimmed its lights for rest cycle, alien traders returned to their quarters carrying new deals, new ideas, and, in some cases, strange human devices wrapped in extra padding. Some were afraid. Some were thrilled. All of them understood one new truth. The universe had gotten messier, and that was not necessarily a bad thing. Back at their little booth, the humans left behind a tiny handwritten sign. Thanks for visiting. If reality acts weird for a while, that's probably on us. You're welcome. Somewhere, deep in the fabric of space-time, a faint, exasperated sigh echoed. And then, very quietly, the universe rearranged itself to make room for humans.